Hey everyone, I'm here looking at some September movie news, and it makes me sad because, well, we're anticipating Francis Ford Coppola's long awaited Megalopolis. No one's waited longer than him. He's apparently had this in mind since I think at least the 80s. He sold his estate, he had a vineyard estate, which he sold $120 million. Most of it, if not all of it, is his own money. And yeah, a self described passion project. And it's not looking good, guys. It's en route to flop big time. And, when I just look at the trailers or anything, first of all, there's been so much controversy with the trailers alone, the marketing. It's been difficult for the film. They maybe a few weeks ago put out a trailer where they had fake critic reviews attached to it, and they quickly had to pull it, I think within that day. And since then, it's just how do you market, how do you come back from that? You could have a name like Francis Ford Coppola attached to it, but it's it's heavy because he's reaching that age, right? You think, what else will he do after this? Is this going to be his final hit or flop? And, I think with careers like this, it always reminds me of something Quentin Tarantino said about film directors is usually 99% of the time they drag out their career for too long. It's not verbatim how he said it, but the point is in the end, they always kind of tarnish their legacy, and that's also why we all know Tarantino doesn't want to do many more, maybe one more film, and he wants to kind of retire early, and that's really respectable. I like that mentality because I do believe it could tarnish. I think of right now, and I'll have future videos about this, I think about Ridley Scott these days. And say what you will about, okay, The Martian or that other film that he had with Matt Damon and Adam Driver, it's The Last Duel. I didn't watch it, I heard good things. I saw The Martian, I thought it was alright. But what has he made in the last 10, approaching 15 years that you're really like, I don't know. He started his career late, but now he's really stretching it out. And I just think with Gladiator 2, for example, that's like a nail in the coffin, for lack of a better term. But that's just me personally. That's getting off track a bit. Here in Megalopolis, I wanted to look at some articles, some like this one from Steve Rose on The Guardian. It was from a few months ago, but, until the movie comes out, these are what we're going on. The article, has this guy ever made a movie before? Francis Ford Coppola's 40-year battle to film Megalopolis. Coppola says, "My greatest fear is to make a really shitty, embarrassing, pompous film on an important subject, and I'm doing it." Francis Ford Coppola said this in 1978, and I will tell you right straight from the most sincere depths of my heart, the film will not be good. The film was Apocalypse Now, and it was good. The rest is history. So I did a video on this a couple months ago, talking about artistry and madness. Directors like Francis Ford Coppola or Werner Herzog, to what levels their visions, how far are they willing to take it at the risk of the production, the crew, those around them. And this has always been a really important question when it comes to filmmaking is the balance between practicality, success obviously, and artistry. And when it works out in favor of the artist, then people remember that. And I could say, as a film lover, lover of cinema, it becomes worth it, but at what cost? And, well, if we read on, the article states, part of that history has been Coppola's reputation. He's prepared to risk everything, defy the studio suits, to go on the brink of ruin and madness, all for the sake of art. Jungle insanity. So yeah, it's the question of questioning the methods, right? I highly recommend you check out that video that I did comparing Werner Herzog and their two films, Werner Herzog and Coppola's, because they're so similar in, diving into the depths of the jungle and what that brings out in the human condition, and how I kind of actually prefer Herzog's film, Aguirre, over probably the much more recognizable Apocalypse Now. Yeah, so now he's 85 years old and he's putting all his chips on the table one last time. It premiered at Cannes already, obviously. Yeah, when I watch the trailers too, you have a very little sense of like what this film's about, and that's not usually a bad thing. I actually love that when the trailer doesn't give away the film like so many do these days. But really with Megalopolis, when I watch that trailer, you're not getting any understanding of the potential themes, It's kind of, something about it is giving me Matrix vibes, but when you watch the Matrix trailers, you could get a grasp of, okay, these are big ideas, but there's something tangible about those ideas and themes without necessarily spoiling anything too much. And with Megalopolis, I just really don't really understand, like, okay, even the artistry, you're definitely intrigued in what this film's going to look like. You're also wondering, like, is this the story that's been brewing for decades now, is it still relevant? I mean, I'm sure he has something to say, but there are also discussion about his behavior on set. There's some kind of a nightclub sequence where he states to get some of the cast and background in to the mood, he was, having girls sit on his, younger girls obviously than him, sitting on his lap, but he says it's to get him in the mood, or kissing them on the cheek, and these are all very maybe harmless methods of his, but they're a little dated, I guess, to some people. Remember, these guys like Coppola, Herzog, they're in a league where, yeah, they would not get away with these kinds of productions, not because they're bad people. It just really, it was about this visionary's him being compelled to the art, and they drag the production through hell to achieve these things, and obviously that's just not very modern. Now, the other part of this, which I found interesting, is how another filmmaker, Kevin Costner, who most people know as by face an actor, but he's directed some huge films, like obviously Dances with Wolves, Open Range. I love that. It's a great modern Western. But now the Western genre is very, the question of its success is kind of at a coin flip, because, yeah, again, that's also one of those things which has become a more dated genre. Yeah, it could hit sometimes, but he too, Costner, has had this idea for a film, a saga actually, an epic grand Western saga, American saga in his mind for decades as well. And so it's a very mirroring situation to Coppola's. And that's flopping too. The first chapter, which had a theatrical release, it didn't do well. The $100 million budget, also which Costner gave his own money for, a lot of it or most of it, they only racked in, I think, 25 to 35 million globally. So they quickly pulled it, and part two critic reviews have come out and not very good. You know, people complain about the runtime. Also, maybe this project would have worked better as something for television. Because simply people just can't sit on their ass for too long in the theater, which, you know, I get it. Especially when you're gonna be expecting a part two, so you're asking a lot, unfortunately. But what does this say about passion projects and directors like Kevin Costner and Francis Ford Coppola? He belongs on a Mount Rushmore, you know, of film directors, American film directors. What does this say about if these guys have these passion projects and they're putting their own money to it, but what's the missing ingredient, or what are they doing wrong? I think it's interesting, to say the least. And that being said, did Francis Ford Coppola know it was gonna be received this way already? You know, did he know it's gonna flop? Is he still prioritizing the art? I'd be curious to know your opinions. Will you be watching Megalopolis? Comment below, let me know. Thanks. That's about it.